Morning, gang, or afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're watching this. I've got two weed eaters to work on here. This is not a very old Ryobi, or however you particularly pronounce it, that starts intermittently when it wants to. And one indication of what the problem might be can be determined by depressing your fuel bulb. If you push it down and it returns really slowly, chances are good that your filter screen inside the carburetor is dirty. So that's what we're going to address right now, is that screen. So we're going to see what we've got inside. See if I can guess the right one right off the bat here. Coolio. Say, hey Zippo, why aren't you using your impact? Well, gang, that's a good idea. Let me get it off choke here. There we go. I always make sure I've got a parts bin, even if I don't need anything magnetic or have anything magnetic. It's just nice to have a place where everything goes together. And these never did come with an air filter. They just have this screen. You can get air filters for them, but I guess they figure for the most part they are not going to ingest a bunch of and these lines are still real pliable, so I'm not real concerned that the lines are in need of being. I'm going to squirt fuel all over everywhere. I depressurized the tank. Oop, I pulled it out of the tank. That's alright. That's just my vent hose. There's one. This is the primary. Get it unstuck so it'll, there it goes. So it'll come off fairly easily. Now my fuel bowl is going to drain out. There's my bulb. So we'll get this over here. We'll go ahead and replace the fuel line since we're going this far with it. Of course, alright, well, since I decided I'm going to replace the fuel lines, it decided it was just going to break off. So, good move, I guess. I'll show you guys how I replace fuel lines on another video. Right now we're just going to address the carburetor. And this one only has the two lines. We got to try to save that gasket. I'll get my hammer. Gasket's in good shape. Now we can get the weed eater out of the way. And when you have it off, you can look down inside. You can look down inside the hole and check and see if you've got any substantial scoring on the bore, just from one side, but you can still see. And somebody had asked me, what gloves do I use? That's them right there. Hardy. And I get the heavy duty 7mm. They do make, I believe, a 9mm. These 7mm are tough as nails and just about impervious to solvents. So they're real nice to have around. And I moved all of my screwdrivers around on Big Red, so I may be floundering a little bit on what's where until I get used to it. Kind of like cleaning house and rearranging the furniture for the missus. If you're used to walking around in the dark, then the missus decides she's going to throw a wrench into the mix and ooh, wow. Alright, we have our answer. why this thing is running like crap. Can you guys see all the junk on that screen right there? So if your primer bulb goes down easy but does not pull up easy, it's a good indication that that is clogged. Very, very light air pressure to clean that out. Very light. Grab the air hose here. I'm gonna blow it all over everywhere, but I want to keep it on camera for you. Well, let's see if we can't do it this way and catch everything that comes off so we can see just how much crud is in there. And I'm blowing across the top of that. I'm not blowing directly down into it because I want to blow that stuff out. Okay, you can see it's just all over the face of it now. And there's some more there and a lot more on the rag, on the shop towel. And you want to be sure that all of your ports are clear. Again, very, very light air pressure for that. I've got one little chunk left in there. Out it goes. Now you can see the difference, how much cleaner that is. That's what you want. This is your diaphragm side, your pump side, and this is your check valve side. You want to check these check valves, these flaps right here. They open and close as need be, up and down, up and down, up and down, so that the carburetor will function properly. Is this a Zama carburetor? I don't see a name on it. It says RUING, R-U-I-I-N-G, but we'll pull it off and check the pump side as well, and then clean all the ports out. It's just a big chunk of billet aluminum that has been, or cast aluminum it looks like, that has been machined out very, very carefully with a CNC so that everything jives good together. Here I said I keep my parts bin so that I can keep all my parts in it. What am I doing? I'm leaving them on the rag. On the rag. Now this is an automatic. By automatic I mean when you set the choke, the yellow lever, to the run position or to start position, the engine will start and rev at high RPM, and then as soon as you goose the throttle, this will fall back down. That's what I mean by automatic. Okay, and it works over here on this side. So when you put your choke on, you'll see what happens here. You put the choke on, comes in, opens the throttle, and then locks on that pawl right there. And then as soon as you turn your throttle, goose your throttle, watch what happens. See how it falls into the middle, and then you let go, and it takes the choke back off. Hope you guys are able to see that. Let's do it again. We'll do it straight up and down like this. And watch the yellow lever. That's how those work. Some people like them, some people don't. Old school are people that are used to the original style that you have to physically remove will sometimes balk at them, but actually work really well. They do their jobs. Okay, I see. I'm not going to take this gasket and plunger off. Maybe I will, just to make sure the needle and seat is doing what it's supposed to do in there. Be very, very careful when taking those off, because you certainly don't want to mess that gasket up if you plan to reuse it. Now I know you guys are going to harp on me and say, but Zippo, you said replace the gaskets, replace the gaskets, replace the gaskets. There are some instances, like with these, where you are able to reuse, as long as you're very, very careful in removing them, because they're not compressed really, really hard. If you just got teeny tiny little screws compressing those gaskets down, and as a result you don't have the full compression on the gasket, and then of course when you go to put it back together, you do not want to wrench down real hard on the screws. There, it just popped off. Just be real careful going around it. Lift it up. Yeah, it's a good thing we did take it off. We've got some smooge in there. Yeah, I don't know how well this is going to show up. By the way, guys, there is a new camera that will be here in a couple of weeks, and I will be stepping up to 4K. I traded in my old Hero 3 Silver, Hero 3 Plus Silver, for GoPro gave me $100 off of the price of a Hero 5. Some stuff down there. Let's get that blown out real quick. Nice and easy, and just blow, blow across. Don't blow directly down in, just blow across. Nice and careful. Not with a ton of air pressure. Okay, you need to make sure that all of your passages are clear, and then right here, right there, as this pulses in and out, it will form a vacuum and then a pressure, vacuum pressure, vacuum pressure, vacuum pressure, back and forth like that to pull the fuel in. There's no fuel bowl, but you do have a needle and seat there, and it's retained by that one little screw right there. Most of these carburetors are very similar in appearance, and then if you look at the gasket, you'll know exactly how to orient it back on, because where the needle and seat is, there's a little bit of a area where the gasket was not compressed. Make sure that the metal disc is facing down, and that you just line up where the gasket was compared to, I don't know where I was going with that. Just make sure the gasket's lined up with the way that it was before. The orientation of this cap is irrelevant. So we've got that cleaned out. We'll stick our screws back in. I don't even know what we're 13.5 minutes. Okay. The assembly is the same as the disassembly. You're just doing it in reverse. Always be real careful starting your steel screws into aluminum or plastic. Run them backwards first to make sure that you are lining up with the threads and you don't cross thread. Cross threading is really bad. I know I've said it before. It was a rough couple of days. Mama Sue wanted her pontoon launched, and nobody in the family had ever done anything with a boat. Well, I've been boating, oh, decades and decades. So it was all on me, launching the whole 9 yards. In about 15 to 20 mile an hour sustained winds. And a pontoon boat, for anybody who knows, is essentially a big sail. So it just made for an interesting launch, and then people were wanting to get on and off, so there's docking, and anyway, it was kind of comical. Okay, now when you're putting this back on, you need to make sure it's oriented correctly. But what's nice about it is it does have 2 guide pins here and here, and you always want to remember that your idle adjustment screw your throttle adjustment screw rather, goes on the throttle side of the carburetor. So that's an easy way to think of it. The way I usually put them on is I will activate the throttle just a little bit so that the throttle stop here is not arguing with the part that you're trying to put on. So you just open it a little bit. And I'm going to open it from the other side. It's kind of difficult to do, trying to show you guys at the same time. So see how I'm moving it up with my finger, and just set it in place. It'll snap down into its proper position, then hold on to it. Hold on to it. Stick your screws in. And that's it as far as getting this thing cleaned up and getting them back together. These are adjustable. This particular one has 2 Pac-Man screws. They are marked high and low. You can see there's an L here and an H over here. Standard setting that I usually put them at to begin with is 1 and 1. So that's 1 full turn for each of them. I'll get the motor to start and then fine tune them from there. You want a nice, clean, crisp throttle response without any bogging as soon as you hit the throttle. So if you hit the throttle and it goes, you still need to do a little bit of adjustment. How'd you like my interpretation of that? And then just check function after you get it back together. Make sure that's still going to lock into place, which it does. Hit the throttle, make sure it still unlocks. It does. I can push the primer bulb, which still has fuel in it, and I should have fuel come out. And there's the fuel coming out. So this is ready to get put back on and dialed in and running. So give me a couple minutes, we'll get that done. Stay tuned. Okay gang, we got the Reassembly all situated here. I'll move you down just a little bit. I'll stand on this side. Your carburetor screws are accessible. Sorry, let me take this cover off, it'll make it a little easier. All 3 of your carb screws are right there. You have your your throttle adjustment here. Then you have your high and your low needle adjustments. Once you get the unit to start and warmed up, which this is right now, you just hit the trigger. After it starts, you hit the trigger and it takes it off choke. If you hold the trigger, it'll keep it on half choke until the engine settles down and runs. But you'll need to make these adjustments to your throttle so that it'll sit and idle at a good speed without wanting to stall, and then adjust your high needle as you're revving it so that you get rid of the hesitation. And ultimately, you're looking for running like that, and then it got a little cold. It's been sitting a couple minutes, so I guess it got cold enough it had to warm up a little. Once it warms up, you hear it just ramps straight up from idle up to a good running condition, and then you're ready to knock down some weeds. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this little instructional on taking care of these Zama type carburetors. The next one we're doing actually has 2 inlets, 1 choke side, 1 throttle side, and that is on a Poolin Pro. We're going to get into that right now. We'll see you guys on the next one. Please, right over here, smash that like button for me. Zippo later. I'm out.